Hello and welcome to this mid-morning taste challenge. This is going to count for Wednesday. This is a battle between Kessler American blended whiskey, blended and bottled in Kentucky by Beam Suntory. No website listing anymore, but there is a archived website listing that I used to see, and it's on like what they call Wayback Machine. If you look on Wikipedia, Kessler in the Wikipedia, you can see that. Introduced 1888, 72.5 to 27.5 blend ratio. A little bit of a strange blend ratio there. Much higher percentage of straight bourbon than normal. And it's aged 2 years. The straight bourbons are aged only 2 years. So could they be using 2-year age Jim Beam and grain spirits? It's possible. I don't see why not. But it is a brand that has been on the market since 1888. True story. And there's a drawing of Julius Kessler. Smooth as silk. And he pioneered this whiskey out in the West, stagecoach days, and he died, I think, in the 1930s. He moved back to Hungary, actually. He was an immigrant from Hungary. But anyway, whatever. Okay, so that's the story on that. Here is the newcomer, Iron Wheel, introduced in 2019, age 3 years, has a 75-25 blend ratio, 75% grain neutral spirits, 25% straight whiskey. It's from Buffalo Trance. And it is age 3 years. So could they be using, let's say, 25% benchmark, old number 8, and 75% grain neutral spirits? Certainly possible. That's a 3-year age bourbon. Could they be using ancient age, which is also 80 proof and aged 3 years? It's very possible. Ancient age is a sour mash bourbon. I don't think benchmark is classed that, but two very close possibilities. Oh, he's testing an engine across the street. Noise, If that keeps going, I'll close the window, but it's a little chilly anyway, the breeze. There are other possibilities from Buffalo Trace, though. It could be very old Barton, which is, well, it's available in different formats, but there's an 80 proof, 3-year age, very old Barton, I'm pretty sure, right? So could it be that blended with 75% grain neutral spirits? Or could it be all three and they just dump them in there when it doesn't come out correctly and figure they'll sell it for $8.99, $9.99 as a cast off? Yeah, that's possible too, but you're not really saving anything because I can get ancient age for $9.99. And that's straight bourbon, sour mash, no filler, unaged filler grain. So it's all your preference. Some people prefer blended whiskey. I don't know why, but they do. It's not very popular, blended whiskey, American blended. It's a percentage of the market, but what's the big thing these days? You know what it is. It's straight bourbon or just bourbon. Sometimes companies sell just bourbon, not straight bourbon. But that's the thing. But the straight bourbon and bottle and bond, which is a type of straight bourbon, that's your big thing. That's your big thing. But these blended whiskeys, I think, just allow them to not waste the bourbon that perhaps for whatever reason or another did not age correctly or the taste didn't come out right. Could I be wrong? Could they have bourbons that are specifically made just to blend with these? I guess, but I doubt it. I mean, I guess it's possible. Look at blended scotch. They always using rather famous single malts for their blends. like what is that? Dewar's. What does Dewar's use? Isn't Aberfeldy the single malt they use in Dewar's, and like White Horse they use Lagavulin in it. Tells you that on the bottle. Okay. So, but it's the same concept, except that in Scotland the grain whiskeys have to be aged in oak barrels for years, where in the United States the grain whiskey don't even have to be. That's good English. It don't even have to be whiskey. It doesn't even have to be aged into whiskey. It could just be raw grain neutral spirits, which is what these two contain. And there you go. That's the answer. Are there other type of blended whiskeys? Yes, there's products that are a blend of bourbons. I've got the what's it called? Virginia Black. It's a blend of 3 different aged bourbons. Buy some products that are blends of straight bourbons. They're blended whiskey because they're blended, but they're blends of straight bourbon. My friend David has this idea in his mind that he's got this idea that Buffalo Trace is a blend of different bourbons. We did that duo review revisit. We did a duo review, a revisit actually, because the second time we had it about a month ago. And I was listening to him say that, and I was like, okay. But you notice I didn't challenge him. I didn't really. This can is sure bent up. I didn't feel like arguing with him. I don't usually argue with people too much on videos, but especially if it's a recorded video and you don't want to go too long. But somebody was saying, why didn't you call him out on that? I was like, I didn't feel like getting into it. I said, notice I didn't agree with it. I didn't, but I'm just not the kind that's going to say, you're wrong, you're wrong. I usually just say, okay, I don't agree. I don't think, but I'm not going to just get all into that. Okay. Because he didn't provide any source material. It's just like an idea in his mind. And it could be that, literally, because a Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey can be a blend of different bourbons. It just has to all come from Kentucky. You see what I'm saying? And it has to be aged at least 2 years in new charred oak barrels. So, but I just don't. Well, you'd have to back it up. That's all I'm saying. You got to come out with some source material, not just. But he's no more guilty than other people. All the time, I see all the time videos where they're talking about, oh yeah, this is Eagle Rare, and they're using Buffalo Trace's mash bill number, whatever it is. And I'm like, well, how do you know that? And they say, oh, I read it on Whiskey World's website. So it'd be like some website where they talk about whiskey. And I get on there and they talk about mash bills. I said, well, where did they get that information from? Oh, they didn't source it, So Sazerac doesn't release their mash bills, all right? Now, people theorize that or people will just say it. They got these 2 mash bills, but then they never back it up. If you're a viewer and you got some information on this, I mean, real information, not just some talk, let's hear it. I'd love to know, and it would be nice to know. That's the thing about source material. All right. What I told you down below in these comments, I'm sorry, the content, the description, what do you call it? The description area. I know it's true, and I can back it up because it came off the bottles. All right. It's like literally on the bottle label. So if you say, well, hey, it's aged 2 years. Well, it says it right there, aged 2 years. Okay. I didn't read it on whiskeyworld.com or something. I'm making those names up, but. And like I said, all whiskey has to be at least 80 proof in the United States. You might say, but how do you know? Well, I read it. I read the regulation. I'll give you the link. taxandtradebureau.gov. TTB. What is it? TTB.gov. I'm not saying, well, I heard it from a guy. Or a very common thing I get from people is, oh, I know a guy in the industry. Oh, you do? Who is he? Oh, well, I don't want to say. Okay. Or like they're talking about a politician, saying a source tells us that Trump did something. Well, who's the source? Well, we can't say. Well, how you know it's true? You don't. Could be made up. Maybe they're lying. Maybe their source is lying. We don't know. It's rumor mill. Enough of that rant, But I mean, it's interesting. This smells like it smells like no, really, yeah, like fermented then distilled cereal grains, mainly corn, right? Obviously, and then a little vanilla and charred oak, and the same old thing, always and always and always. You ever notice how these are always like the same? Well, guess what? They're going to be, because you know what? These whiskeys taste very similar one to another. I know I'm not supposed to say that. It's supposed to be a huge difference one to the other because you got to justify paying $75 a bottle for some of these things. Yeah, same kind of aroma. I think this is going to be tough because look, you got it. It's not coming from some dodgy, as they say in England. No, I mean, it's not coming from that. It's coming from like Beam Suntory, big company. Buffalo Trance, big famous company as well. They're known to put out quality products. They both have been known to have a house style. Could I tell it apart? House style? It's doubtful. So, price. Yeah, they're about the same price. Kessler, this was $14.99 for the handle. And Iron Wheel is probably about the same, but it might be a little bit more. But it's not going to be way more. They're in the same ballpark. So you may as well buy both and try them. Taste time, cheers. I always just buy the cheapest one because they're always about the same anyway. And I mean, you have these, of course, you have these aberrations, which are usually aberrating toward the bad. But it's like the Canadian whiskeys. I'll say, well, it's $15.99 for a handle. Let me try it, and then it's like, well, it's no worse than the others. It's not better. They're never better than the others, but they're not worse. They just like, it's $13.99 this month on sale over here. And Crown Royal's $23 for a regular bottle now, a regular, not the big thing. And it's like not better. Okay. Not in any appreciable way. Okay. Whoa. Getting a little nuttiness here. Like almonds, but maybe more like pecan oil and nut oil or something like that. I don't recall that in Iron Wheel, but these are hard to remember. And remember, I told you if you do one whiskey, it tastes different than the next time you do it with another competitor. It's like they make each other taste different. To me, I can only speak for me because I can only taste for me. I can't taste for you. It's like saying, "Don't you love celery?" Yeah, well, some people hate celery. Now, to me, I can't understand that. It's like, wouldn't you love to eat celery? It's so good. It's crunchy, it has a good vegetable taste, succulent. But other people, it just, it's like stomach turning. And it's the same thing with these products. And that's why I read the reviews. You try to get a general consensus. And they tend to line up. Okay. 3-year age versus 2-year age. Is it making a big difference here? Doesn't seem to be. It's a year difference. The blend ratio is slightly different, 72.5 versus 75. That's minimal. The what you call it, the proof is the same, 80 proof to 80 proof. So they're close. They're close. They're close, close, close. And then, like I said earlier in the video, they're coming from known quality companies. I'm going to try again. It's a good enough flavor. Is it an extraordinary flavor? Common sense going to tell you it's not extraordinary. That's why they $16 for a handle or whatever. That right around that price. But it's a point where you have to use some discernment and some contextual understanding of it. For $16.99 a bottle is not going to be fabulous, but that doesn't counterpoint. On the flip side, doesn't mean it's going to be just disastrously terrible. There's a middle ground between those two things, and there's a lot of stuff in that middle ground. And these tend to trend toward the higher end in flavor, meaning like better than you would expect. But like I said, there's some aberrations. You got to do the long march through you have to do the long march through the brands as I've done, and you'll run across those. Like I always said about Kentucky Gold, I said if Kentucky Gold is the gold, I would hate to try the silver or the bronze, because that thing is. And I had a chance to buy a full size bottle, but I was like, oh no, I'm not going through that again. Do you ever mix them with cola or anything? Yes, I'm starting to do that as of the last few weeks. I started a new series called Mix Up. I've already done some mix-ups on my alternative channel called Anti-War, Anti-Space War, 2 words, Anti-Space War, Anti-War. I did a series of Tahitian Treat, which will be the only high fructose corn syrup soda pop, soft drink, soda that I'm going to mix. But I bought it because it was unusual. Most places don't carry it, although 2 stores here do. And Winn-Dixie had the cans and the big liter bottle, 2-liter bottles. But I bought the 2-liter bottle, because it was a better price per ounce. But then I'm going to only sugar. The only other soft drinks I'm going to bring into play are sugar ones. Pepsi Real Sugar. Saw that come in the store the other day. Pepsi Real Sugar. Something like that. Of course, it's expensive. $7.49 a 12-pack. It's like, but I saw an independent soft drink brand over there at a local store called Frosty. Since 1939, has a whole history behind it, and they only use cane sugar, no high fructose corn syrup, no. And then I found the real Dr. Pepper. Well, not the real, but the original sugar Dr. Pepper, made in Texas. I always heard about it. I read it on the internet. They said, well, they make one in Texas now. It's made with real cane sugar. Try finding it. It's like impossible. Walmart over here, they don't have it. But this one store here called Mathern's has it. 4 packs, full-size bottles, 12 ounces. It's expensive. But I said, I got it. So, okay, Jim Beam is cheap and good when it comes to flavor and quality, says Paul Cardenas. I agree. Oh, nice, Ron, says Paul. Mexican Coca-Cola has real cane sugar. Correct, and I cannot find it at this time. Used to come in all the time. Don't see it. And somebody told me, this is what they told me. Any Coca-Cola in a glass bottle is real sugar. I said, wrong. I'm not saying that to be ugly. I said, but I could show you glass bottles of various sizes right over there at that store, and they all say on the back what? Yeah, high fructose corn syrup. Okay? Got to get the Mexican one. Now, do they have a United States version of Coca-Cola that uses real sugar? Apparently so, but it may be even harder to find. All right. If you want to go out, you better take her out, Coca-Cola. All right, anyway. Good morning, Ron says, BC's Beer Reviews. BC's Beer Reviews. And I will tell y'all one thing. He's got a channel, and regardless of if it's in a bottle or a can, the man's going to review the beer. I like this one here. It has almost a minty flavor. And mint, when I hear mint, or in this case, experience mint, then I think of rye. And when I think of rye, I don't ask why. I think of Sazerac, meaning Buffalo Trace, because Buffalo Trace is known to have a higher than average rye thing going on with it. So that's making me think. Craft Beer Tastic says, these big soda companies play so many games with sweeteners. They seem to be changing up all the time and not making it known. Too many games, you're right, and I don't want to be in that game. I don't want to play the game. If you want to play a game with me, let's play Risk, okay? We'll play Risk, a board game. But I ain't playing the sweetener game. I got burned a couple of times on these sugar beers, but then they weren't using sugar. They were using Splenda or other. I'll say, It's horrible, 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 horrible. There's a new cerveza from Mexico called Superior. It's pretty good. Well, that's not new. It's been around for decades, over 100 years, right? 1890? But it might be new to your area. We don't get it in Louisiana. I bought it in Mexico. No, I bought it in Texas. I saw it in Mexico, and then the cooler was locked. I was like, why is the cooler locked? They had this huge 64-ounce, big bottles of Mexico. Sunday, and they didn't sell any alcohol on Sunday. I was like, oh, when does this end? But I found it later. But I wanted to get that Superior Black. There was a black one, like a Modelo Negro, Superior Negro, and I could. The cooler was locked. And then the border control guy says to me, "Oh, you can go back tomorrow and get it." And I was like, "I don't think I'll wait." I said, "They don't even start selling beer till 10 in the morning." I said, "By that time, I'll be past San Antonio." Oh yeah, which is what I did. Why would they lock them down? Oh, they locked them because same thing in Arkansas. Go to Arkansas on a Sunday. All the coolers will be locked. Okay. Not Louisiana. I'm kind of picking up that corn grain spirits, that unaged, what you call moonshine grain neutral spirit. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I don't know. These are close. But I think this is the Iron Wheel. It's got a heavy vanilla flavor. And I remember the Iron Wheel having that. But I haven't been too successful in these taste challenges with Iron Wheels, so we got to take that into account. And it's the Kessler. So, another failure. But don't blame me. Now, if I get it right, if I get these rights, because I know what I'm doing, I know what I'm doing. But if I get them wrong, I have to blame somebody else. So, I got it wrong, so it's their fault. They're too much alike. No, you can't blame me. Who in the world could tell them apart? Nobody. So there's Kessler, the winner. And I thought it was the Iron Wheel. Isn't it unusually dark? It's 72.5% grain spirits, but it's dark like mahogany. Yeah. Something's telling me that they're adding some coloring to it, but I don't know. So I'm going to keep fighting. I'm going to keep fighting. I'm going to keep fighting, Oh, now on Thursday, I have the Sunnybrook. That's the name of it. Been on the market since 1891. Another Beam Suntory brand. It's a standard 80-20, I think, right? 80% grain spirits, 20% straight whiskey. Age 2 years. I'm pretty sure it's 2 years. Oh, I can't remember all these, but I'm pretty sure it's basic. It's a base model. I got it for $6.89 a liter. You heard me right. $6.89 for a liter in Orange, Texas at Red Dot Liquors on United States Highway 90 business route, right in the middle of town. I brought it up to the counter and the girl says, I never see anybody buying this stuff. And I could believe it since it was covered with dust. I said, yeah, I've never seen it in Louisiana, so I'm going to bring it back home. She said, okay. And that was right at the beginning of the scamdemic. Like, oh, I'll go get the phone. So that was very cheap, $6.89 for a liter, and I'm going to do that one tomorrow. And then I'm going to close out with two others, Bay Street Spirits. Bay Street Spirits, and it's kind of an odd tasting thing, so I think I'll get that one right. I only paid $13.99 for the handle. And then I'm going to finish with the king of blended whiskey, the king, which is Seagram 7 Crown. Ain't no way I'm getting that wrong. No way. Not going to happen. Not going to do it. Not going to happen. All right. So last comments. Hey, Ron, what kept you from drinking before 1996 when I was 27 and I turned 28? Nothing in particular, really. I just didn't have any interest in it. It's a true story. It wasn't like some psychological trauma or some illness, secret illness. I just didn't care. I started drinking wines in 94, dessert wines. Me and a certain lady, we were drinking dessert wines, and we liked them, but we weren't like into it like it was some big thing. We would buy it like say a liter bottle of Fairbanks cream sherry. That's a good example. But it might take 3 months to drink it, you know. So to say we were winos or wine enthusiasts would be terribly wrong. But we would dabble in it just to do it, to sip on a little bit of it in a little sherry glass. But it was no big thing. Then in 96, February 1996, I was sitting here like today, and I'm thinking, why do people love beer so much? I don't drink it. I never drank it. You know, I never drank it. Literally never drank it. So I said, let me go and buy a 6-pack of beer and try it. And if I don't like it, I won't buy it again. And I can remember back being 3 years old, 2 years old, 1 year old, and sipping beer from my parents' bottles, like Miller High Life. And I remember it tasting so good as a baby, you know. My father says all babies love beer. So I went to Winn-Dixie, and I bought a 6-pack of the ponies, you know, the little bottles, which you can still buy, of Miller High Life. It was only $1.99. I said, well, we'll try this. Had it cold, so I tried one right out the bottle. I said, oh, yes, that's the memory I have of being 3 years old on the back patio in the heat. That's the memory. That's the memory. I said, okay, I'm going to save a bottle. I still had one of the bottles from the 6-pack. I saved it. Whoops. So that's the one I bought. This is one of the bottles from the 6-pack. I know the glare. Let me turn that off. And I said, oh, yeah. Come on, focus, you fool. I said, let me make a little hobby out of it. So I said, that's what I'll do. I'll make a little hobby out of it. I'll try each brand and drink one, and I'll keep the can or bottle and make a little collection. Made a little collection. So then I went and bought, you know, of course, I'm going to buy all the standards. Budweiser, Miller High Life, that was the first. Coors, Schlitz, and Schlitz had the old label, the old red label. And I said, oh, next time I'm going to get that. Went back to the store a week later, and they had replaced it with the current label, the 96 to 2011 label. Well, I felt played. I never could find the red label, and I was so disgusted. The 1982 to 96 red label. Just goes to show you, when you think about it, you better act on it. And that was it. And I just kept, then the internet came like popular, and right around that time, and then YouTube, and then I said, well, I can make videos people could watch. We could talk about it on the internet. That's really like the whole history of it in a nutshell. Okay, Thomas Meadow 75. Kessler has never sounded appealing or interesting to want to purchase. But good morning. Yeah, it's sort of interesting, but if you're into like cast strength bourbons, yeah, it's not gonna be too interesting. Wow, cool. Ron says BC's beer reviews. Yep, that's the true story. Come on and focus, you idiot. I'm talking to the camera. That's it. It's not an idiot. It's a $30 camera. Maybe that's why I didn't focus right. It's a $30 camera. My grandma, his grandma, used to drink Olympia like nobody's business. Yeah, Olympia. I used to be able to get that in Louisiana, but not anymore. This is Olympia. I bought this in Baton Rouge at Albertsons in 1998. I can remember it. 1998, Olympia, dry Olympia. Yeah, it was like $3.99 a six pack. And you could tell they were trying to mimic the Asahi Super Dry. Even made the can look like that Asahi can, you know. But that's all right. But it was pretty good. And then I never saw Olympia again in Louisiana. Okay, Olympia was discontinued in late. That's right. I knew it was discontinued. I was living in Seattle at the time and noticed it was nowhere to be found. Yeah, Pabst dropped it. Wasn't selling, so they killed it. I started out drinking Molson Triple X. Oh, yeah. It's a good one. 7.3%. Yeah, we can't get it in Louisiana. Asahi is the only dry beer I can get in Southern California. Yes, the only one I can get in Louisiana. Yeah. Most American blended whiskey has a heavy grain, youthful taste, correct? Says Thomas Metal 75, Eric. Well, it should have a youthful taste because it's usually young. 2-year aged, 3-year aged. I mean, come on, that's minimal. And secondly, it ought to have a heavy grain flavor because these are both over 70% grain spirits that have not even been aged. But that's allowed. I watched them make grain spirits at Barton 1792 Distillery. They let us taste the grain spirits, which were at cask strength, meaning 190 proof. Well, even above cask strength. 190 proof. She said, you can try this, but don't take too big of a sip. And then one guy drank it, and she handed the glass to me. And I said, we're going to drink one after the other? She said at 190 proof, it ain't going to matter. In other words, no germ could survive. No germ could survive that. And it was like, whoa. She said, well, all we do is take this stuff and we add water, tap water, you know, from the faucet, and bring it down to 80 proof, and then we blend it with the bourbon. I said, oh, okay. But they sell the pure 190 grain spirits. If you want to buy it, 190 proof, you can buy it. I saw it 2 days ago in Hammond. They had it at the baseball game. They were selling it at the baseball game, and it's called Diesel. Diesel. They weren't selling shots of it. They're not, but they were mixing it with certain daiquiris. These people are drinking those daiquiris, getting loaded. Okay, sound like vodka with coloring, laughing out loud. Well, it's people sometimes call it that, but it isn't vodka. Vodka is a different type of grain neutral spirit. Okay, it's a different type. It's similar, but it's not the same. Okay, that's a misconception with a lot of people. The old growler says burns. Yeah, it burns. It burns like yeah, you remember the movie. It burns. It burns. It was regular old tap water. All right. Well, y'all take care and see you soon. Have a nice Tuesday. Now I'm going to go see who was calling. Oh, this camera. There it is. Bye-bye, everybody.